Hi, welcome to the Gear Garage. My name is Zach, and this is my show about whitewater things. And this episode is for those of you that want to run Class 4 rivers, or you're doing Class 3, and the river you normally do is high, and you want to go anyway. Because a classy river at high water is basically Class 4, in my opinion at least. And so I want to kind of share my thoughts about expectations for people on Class 4. This is a bare minimum list. This list is for those of you that are running your own boat. So if you're a passenger in somebody's boat and that person's qualified, they can look out for you. They should look out for you. They should have that ability. But this is for those of you rowing your own boats, you're in a ducky, you're doing a paddle boat, whatever. This is sort of my opinions about abilities and attributes you should have for doing Class 4. And again, my opinion. I could be totally wrong here. Before I start, take a second. Please like, please subscribe. I'd love to have more likes and subscribers. And please add comments because I'm going to miss things. This is, again, just a partial quick list. So first of all, being physically fit is important. Being agile, being physically strong. Physically strong, you need to pull yourself back in your boat. You need to hold on to a rock if you're stuck. You might need to do a portage and lift your boat over a log. Like, logs move all the time. Maybe there's a log in the way that day for some reason. You have to have the ability to pull your boat around things potentially. So physically strong is important. Also, being able to swim. There's no way around it. If you can't swim, it's really hard to justify doing Class 4 or possibly even Class 3. And I'm going to say, ideally, you can self-rescue. You can swim to shore, you can swim to a boat, you can swim to a rock in the river, whatever. You can aggressively self-rescue. That's ideal. At a bare minimum, you at least need to make progress towards something. If you fall out, you can't just hold on to a boat for dear life. You can't just put your feet up and wait for somebody to rescue you. You need to be aggressively making progress towards a rescuer. So even if you can't swim, you need to be able to swim. But at a minimum, at least making an attempt to swim, I think is personally really important for being a Class 4 boater. And also just having your weight under control. I'm not a skinny person. I'm not perfect. But a lot of PFDs, if you have a big belly, stick out pretty far or they sit high, and they're not really effective. And if you fall out, they can't really float you up to the surface that well. So this is a low flow PFD. This is the Astro YTV. I love this PFD in a pool, right? It's a bare minimum 16 pounds of flotation. It gets me to the surface really slowly. And so if I'm running hard whitewater, I don't want to wear this PFD. If I'm 200 pounds, 220, 230, 240, 250, 260, you need to have flotation. On Class 4, that's just how it is. And all these Astral green jackets and things aren't adequate. You need a high flotation PFD, or at least a medium flotation PFD, but more than the minimum. And I'm sorry, I don't have a great recommendation, but that's just something that I think is really important. Next is dress. Again, the PFD is really important. It floats you up to the surface. Not only do you want to have a PFD with flotation, you want to have something with a little more protection for your body if you take it over to your body, so it doesn't hit your chest, which I think is important. And if you're pear-shaped, if you shape like a pear, which is, like you have a big belly going on, which is fine. Maybe not for Class 4, actually, but it's up to you. You can do whatever you want with physical fitness. That was just a suggestion. But if you have a weird shape, there are leg loops. And you can, from your PFD, some of these PFDs have attachments you put your legs through, so the PFD doesn't ride up on you. So you don't want it to ride up on you. You also don't want it to come off. Or if somebody's pulling you in, you don't want them to pull it off. But the biggest thing is, I see people all the time, their PFDs up here when they're swimming, and it's not really being effective. And so if your PFD rides up high on you, you really need to wear those leg loops. And also really loosen these shoulder straps up and get this PFD to sit low if you can. You want this thing low and kind of over your belly. It usually stay in a lot better like that. So I'm not a PFD expert. I use a bunch of them, so don't listen to me on that stuff unless, I don't know, you listen to me or don't listen to me. Next is your boat. Whatever boat you're in needs to be a good whitewater boat. And the thing I see a lot of Class 3 boaters is they have a boat and they have a frame and it's 100 pounds and they got a cooler and a dry box, and the dry box is full of all kinds of stuff, and they're sitting on a seat on top of their cooler, sort of sitting really high. They just have too much stuff on this multi-day frame that just really isn't set up effectively. And unfortunately, a lot of people that sell the frames, in my opinion, are selling not a good thing for running Class 4. It's adequate for Class 2, maybe Class 3. It's just geometrically not set up well to run harder rivers. So if you're going to be harder rivers, you want a good setup. And for a lot of you that are rowing rafts, you just want a simple frame. You don't need all the dry boxes and the 300 pounds of accoutrements. You just need like your frame, your throw bag, your safety gear, and maybe some dry bag and some clothes. You don't need like boxes and boxes of things with you. Maybe you do, and if you do, cool. I'm just gonna say your gear should be kind of, simplified and really designed for class 4, not something else. And finally, having just like the safety gear with you. Like if you know how to use rescue gear, cool. But a throw bag, of course, but things like a repair kit, and not the repair kit that came with the boat. Those things are usually totally inadequate and they're missing key parts. So a repair kit that not only has a way to patch your boat effectively, but also the tools to fix and repair your oar frame, like all the wrenches you need. Maybe if like the pipe breaks, how are you going to fix that? Spare oar locks, that kind of thing. So you need a really adequate, well thought out repair kit. Just have a first aid kit, especially in class 4. I think for those of you running class 4, you're more likely to probably get hurt in class 4. And so injuries are probably more common. So having a first aid kit is important, and also some first aid training and CPR training. I just think for those of you running class 4, it's just something you should do. It's tough love. I hate to be direct, but like it's probably important at a minimum, like a 2 or 3 day wilderness first aid class. That's just my opinion, but I gotta say it. And finally, some sort of communication device. Again, serious accidents are more likely to happen, and problems can get solved if you can get care in really fast. And so that might mean you have a cell phone with you if you have cell coverage. But for a lot of you, I don't have my device here, but a little emergency satellite communication device that costs a couple $100 and also has a monthly plan, I think is becoming important. So just to sum things up, I feel like those of you that want to get into class 4 boating, I'm going to give you just the thoughts on my mind right now. This is not a complete list. These are probably wrong. This is just the thoughts on my mind right now that you should be doing for those of you that want to go into class 4. Be physically fit. Have the right gear. Have the right boat setup. And bring the right safety equipment with you. And finally, the thing I did forget, so I'm going to go back and do one more thing, is having the proper cold weather gear. And cold weather gear is about being comfortable, but it's also about dealing with that initial shock of falling out, right? So when you fall out, there's some cold water responses that can happen to your body if you fall into cold water. And so it doesn't have to be a dry suit. And I know a lot of you love dry suits, and I wear them all the time. They're great, but they do break. They're not super durable. Zippers break all the time. Neck gaskets break. And when they break, they actually can become more dangerous because you take on water, which means more weight, which means you resurface slower, you swim slower. Dry suits can be actually dangerous when they break. And also like there's temperatures where it's really hot. Like when there's a borderline temperature, you're going to overheat in that thing and sweat a ton, which isn't healthy either. So consider having a wetsuit. You don't go from dry suits to paddle jackets. There's a wetsuit in between there. And wetsuits are great because if you fall out, it helps with that cold shock response. It covers your skin. And so a wetsuit with a paddle jacket really is something to consider for a lot of you running class 4 rivers on warmer days. So anyway, that's it. As always, I'm probably wrong about all this stuff, and I probably missed a ton of stuff. This is a very incompetent and complete session on tough love for running class 4 rivers. So if you have questions, of course, add them. A lot of you out there are just class 4 and 5 experts, and you have things to add. You'd be like, Zach, I think this, I think that. I'd love to have your comments about more things people should be considering to do class 4. And my last thought is, this might be a list for class 3 too. This might be a list for class 2. And so I'm being maybe generous, if that's the right word. Like, these are important things to me for class 4 boating, but all of these probably also apply to class 3. I think for class 3, again, you want to be physically fit, have the right gear, dress correctly, have emergency stuff. And so I'm not saying this only for class 4. What I'm saying is those of you that want to do class 4, these things I just talked about, in my opinion, should be dialed. And this is stuff you need to work on. And so if you are clumsy and you're not in good shape and you're not agile, you need to work on that. Like, that's your number one focus. Your number one focus probably isn't like going boating. Honestly, it's probably like, let's get that physical fitness in shape and then go boating, because that physical fitness can cause a rescue to be very difficult. So Enough about that. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate all the supporters and the members and nice comments and everything. And yeah, that's it for this episode. See you next time. Thanks.